There's a moment, right before the tide turns, where the entire universe holds its breath. That's where you are now. The full moon on August 9th isn't just another lunar phase. It's an energetic high tide, revealing what was hidden and pulling desires from the shadows into the light. On this night, the moon doesn't just reflect, it remembers. So before we touch the cards, we begin with a manifestation ritual. Because timing matters, energy listens. And tonight, something very old and sacred is listening for you. This is more than a reading, this is an opening. Full moon manifestation ritual. Sit still, feel the space around you. The full moon has always been a mirror, not just of light, but of truth. Close your eyes gently and take a slow breath in. Imagine that breath rising like moonlight across a still lake. Exhale with the knowing that this night isn't ordinary. Say silently or aloud, I am open, I am listening, I am ready. Place your palms facing upward. Let your shoulders drop. Feel your body relax. In your mind's eye, picture the moon hovering just above you, not as an object in the sky, but as a glowing doorway in your soul. Now, name what you desire, not with desperation, but with clarity. Picture that desire as a soft white flame inside your chest. It flickers with hope, but does not beg. Say this affirmation: tonight, I align with what is meant for me. I do not chase. I call it in. I do not force. I receive. I do not fear. I remember. Visualize silver energy pouring down from the moon and entering the top of your head, gently illuminating every part of your body. Let it reach your heart. Let it reach your hands. Let it touch the space you thought was broken. And now, feel this. You don't need to make anything happen. You just need to become the version of you who no longer doubts it will. As you breathe in again, feel this shift settling in your soul. Quiet, calm, complete. Now, let's open the cards. Card 1, the moon. Something hidden is surfacing. There are moments when silence feels heavier than sound, like a weight pressing gently on your chest. Tonight, under the full moon, something is rising from within you. Not a memory, not a thought, but something older, deeper. It's as if your soul is whispering truths your mind isn't ready to accept. Not yet, but the moon doesn't wait for readiness. It reveals what must be seen. Sometimes we carry emotions for years without realizing it. Old grief, forgotten dreams, quiet shame tucked away behind the smile we wear daily. And then suddenly, during nights like this, the curtain lifts. The emotional tide rises without warning, and you're left standing in the ocean of yourself, unsure whether to swim or surrender. What's surfacing right now might not be dramatic or loud. It could be a soft ache, a strange memory, a flicker of jealousy, a gut pull towards something you can't explain. Don't ignore it. The moon card says, what rises now was always inside you, waiting for this exact night to breathe again. It can feel scary, as if some part of your identity is cracking open. But that cracking, that's illumination trying to enter. Your subconscious has grown tired of being unheard. It's sending signals now, through emotion, dreams, even discomfort, not to punish you, but to prepare you. And the wildest part, you always knew this would happen eventually. You just didn't know it would come like this, quiet, sacred, glowing, under the full moon. Your dreams were speaking all along. There's a reason your dreams have been louder lately, not in volume, but in emotion. You've been waking up with a feeling you can't explain, a trace of something, like a whisper that faded the moment your eyes opened. These aren't just random fragments. They're messages from your deeper self, the part of you that remembers what your conscious mind has long forgotten. Dreams don't use words like we do. They use symbols, patterns, feelings. That same place where you've felt uncertain lately. It's the same place your soul has been trying to reach you from. The place where clarity lives, but in its own language. Maybe you've dismissed them before, brushed them off as nonsense. But not now. Now they're too clear, too specific, too timed. Notice how certain people show up again and again. Notice how the same places repeat themselves in different ways. What if those aren't dreams at all, but rehearsals? Cosmic preparations for moments you haven't lived yet, but your soul already knows are coming. The more you resist them, the more confusing they become. But the moment you lean in, patterns begin to form. It's never about the literal meaning of a dream. It's about how you feel when you wake up. Did you feel anxious, calm, curious, haunted, relieved? That's the message. Not the story, but the energy left behind. It's like your subconscious is painting with colors while you try to read in black and white. Your soul doesn't sleep when you do. It journeys, it explores, it remembers, and sometimes the only way for it to reach you is when your mind gets out of the way and closes its eyes. Not everyone can follow you here. As your path deepens, you'll begin to notice something uncomfortable. Not everyone is walking with you anymore, and not because they don't love you, but because they're not meant to walk this part. There's a loneliness in growth that no one prepares you for, a shedding of the familiar. Even when it hurts, you may start feeling like you can't explain yourself anymore, like your words fall flat, like you're speaking a different language. That's not isolation, that's initiation. You're tuning into a frequency others can't yet hear. It's not rejection, it's refinement. The circle is narrowing, so your focus can sharpen. There may be people who suddenly fade out, relationships that no longer click, conversations that feel hollow. This isn't a sign to chase after them. It's a sign to listen more deeply to yourself. The further you walk into your truth, the more silence you'll meet. But inside that silence, something else begins to speak. And here's the quiet ache no one tells you about. The people who were once your comfort zone may start feeling like noise. That doesn't make them bad. It just means you're moving into a new layer of yourself, where only those in alignment can follow. Sometimes your higher path demands solitude, not forever, just long enough for you to hear your own soul without distortion. The fog is fear, not truth. There's a thick mist around you lately, not literal, but emotional, a sense of uncertainty, confusion, like you're walking forward with your eyes half closed. And that fog? It's not truth, it's fear. It's everything your nervous system is projecting when it doesn't have full control. The moon card doesn't promise clarity, it offers you intuition instead. And intuition isn't about knowing, it's about trusting. There's something happening in your life right now that doesn't make full sense yet. And that's okay. It's not supposed to. It's unfolding in layers, one truth at a time. You may feel like turning back, waiting for clearer skies. But what if the fog is here to teach you how to feel your way forward? How to lead with instinct, not certainty. How to trust your feet, even when the path is invisible. Sometimes your next chapter doesn't come with answers. It comes with an invitation to keep going anyway, to not wait for perfect conditions, to move anyway. Because something is waiting on the other side, that can only be reached by walking through the unknown. The truth is, most of the time, clarity only arrives after courage has already walked ahead of it. Trust what feels real in the dark. When everything is uncertain, one thing remains: how you feel, not what you think, not what others say, but that quiet internal yes, or that subtle internal no. In darkness, your feelings become your flashlight, and the moon teaches you how to trust it. Maybe you're in a moment where nothing looks certain on paper, but something feels undeniably right. That feeling, it's your anchor. It's the quiet truth that doesn't shout, but never lies. The challenge is, can you let that be enough? This is the part of your journey where you stop asking for signs outside of you and start honoring the signals within you. You're not being asked to leap blindly. You're being asked to follow the thread of what feels alive, even if it doesn't look logical yet. There's a certain kind of magic that only reveals itself in darkness, not to punish you, but to remind you that your inner light works perfectly fine, even without external proof. And once you realize your intuition has been right more than your doubts ever were, everything begins to change. There's something sacred about what the moon just showed you. It wasn't loud, it wasn't obvious, but it was real. And sometimes that's the power of this card. It doesn't explain, it awakens. It opens doors inside you that only silence can unlock. But what happens after those doors are opened? What happens when the illusions fall apart and you're left standing in the rubble of what you thought was real? That's where we're heading next. Because card 2 isn't about mystery. It's about the collapse, the sharp truth, the emotional closure, the breaking point that doesn't break you. It breaks the cage you were stuck in. Let's open the second card and see what's ending, so something else can finally begin. Card 2, 10 of Swords. This is the end, and that's a gift. There comes a moment when the soul says, no more. Not in anger, not in weakness, but in sacred exhaustion. That's what this card speaks of. A chapter so over, even trying to fix it feels like a betrayal to your future self. You might feel like you're losing something right now, a person, a plan, a belief. But what's actually happening is liberation. Endings don't always come with closure. Sometimes they come with silence. A silence so loud it forces you to finally listen to yourself. You may feel tired in your bones, not from doing too much, but from holding on too long. The sword isn't stabbing you. It's cutting the thread that kept you bound. Maybe it hurts. Of course it does. There's grief in growth. But what's dying here was never the truth of you. It was just the mask you wore to survive something. And now that survival isn't needed, you're being asked to bury the part of yourself that was built on fear. And that's not death. That's rebirth in disguise. What feels like collapse is often your soul's way of creating space. Because what's coming next cannot sit on the same shelf as what you just released. There's a deep intelligence in this moment, even if it looks chaotic. It's the kind of clarity that doesn't ask permission before arriving. You are not in free fall. You are in sacred release. There is a difference, and your spirit knows it, even when your mind doesn't. Pain always leaves an opening. There's a strange truth most people avoid. Pain isn't just a wound, it's an opening. It splits you where you were too tightly sealed. It softens you where you were too guarded, and it asks you to feel again, fully, not partially. The 10 of Swords doesn't just mark pain. It marks the place where light starts to seep in. You may feel like you've been cracked wide open lately, vulnerable in a way that almost embarrasses you. You're not alone. So many are holding invisible grief in their chest, pretending to be strong while quietly breaking. But here's the deeper truth. Pain opens the space where new life can breathe. Have you noticed how your emotions hit harder at night? How one memory can send your body into waves of old sadness? That's not regression. That's release. You are not going backward. You're being emptied, so that you don't carry what's heavy into what's ahead. We've been taught to fear pain, but what if it's not the enemy? What if it's the alarm clock that wakes you from numbness? What if it's the key that unlocks the door to your truest self? No one tells you this part, but pain, when allowed to breathe, becomes purpose. Don't rush past the ache. It's clearing a sacred space inside you that joy will need very soon. You're not weak. You are carrying too much. Tired? Not because you're lazy, but because you've been carrying emotional weights no one could see. And the worst part? You didn't even know they weren't yours. The Ten of Swords shows a truth many ignore. That burnout is not failure. It's the body's rebellion against betrayal to self. You may have kept showing up for people who wouldn't do the same. Said yes when your soul was begging for a no. Forgave things you never even received an apology for. That isn't weakness. That's strength that's been stretched too thin for too long. And eventually, even the strongest threads must snap. There's a particular guilt that comes with breaking down. A voice that says, you should have been stronger. You should have held on. But the truth is, strength isn't about enduring pain forever. Sometimes it's about knowing when to lay it down and finally say, no more. You've been carrying the weight of unspoken expectations, generational pressure, silent sadness. It's okay to set it down. Not because you're giving up, but because you're waking up to the truth that you were never meant to carry this alone. The bravest thing you'll ever do is rest when the world says, run. You can't heal in the same place you were hurt. Healing isn't just about reflection. It's about relocation, emotionally, energetically, sometimes even physically. You cannot keep growing in soil that poisoned your roots. The Ten of Swords often appears when you've overstayed in a space that your soul already left. Have you been trying to make peace in a war zone? Trying to find light in a room with no windows? You deserve more than survival. You deserve to thrive. But you cannot rebuild in the ruins unless you first walk away from them. There's a kind of loyalty that becomes self-betrayal. When you keep giving chances to things that have already shown you their true shape, that's not forgiveness. That's forgetting yourself. The wound didn't come from within. It came from staying too long somewhere you were meant to pass through. And yes, walking away is terrifying. But what's scarier? Staying in a place that keeps reopening your wounds every time they start to scab. You don't have to heal perfectly, but you do need space, clean air, sacred silence, somewhere your nervous system can finally exhale. Healing begins when you stop justifying why you should keep bleeding. Something new can only grow after this. This card isn't just about what's ending. It's about the soil being cleared for something your soul has been quietly preparing for. Think about it. Nothing grows in a cluttered field. This collapse is creating space for alignment, for joy, for truth, for something you've never let yourself fully receive. The thing is, new beginnings don't feel like fireworks. They often feel like silence, like that quiet morning after a storm, when the air is finally still and something invisible has shifted, that's where you are, right on the edge of what's next. You might not even see the new thing yet. You may just feel the absence of what used to be. That's okay. Trust the absence. It's holy. It's proof that the ground is being made ready. Something is approaching that requires all of you. Not the broken fragments you kept piecing together, but the whole self, the honest self, the free self. You are not starting over. You're starting from experience. That's power. There's a strange sacredness in what just ended. A weight has been lifted, not gently, but completely. The Ten of Swords doesn't come to hurt you. It comes to end the hurting. It doesn't offer comfort. It offers freedom. And sometimes, that's even more valuable. But what comes after the collapse? What rises from the ruins? That's where we're going next. Because card 3 doesn't just talk about healing. It initiates it. A new emotional current. A spiritual overflow. A gift that's already on its way, if you can open enough to receive it. Let's now turn over the final card and see what's waiting to fill the space you've just made. Card 3, Ace of Cups. A new feeling has entered you. There's a moment, often quiet and hard to explain, when something soft begins to bloom inside you. Maybe it comes as a small relief, or maybe it sneaks in after grief like a whisper that says, "You're still alive." That feeling, that's what this card brings. A new energy is entering your heart, not through logic, but through sensation. You might not have words for it yet. You might just feel a little lighter, a little more open, a little more ready to feel again. It's not about someone giving you love. It's about you becoming available to receive it. That's a very different kind of power. What's beautiful about this moment is that you don't need to do anything to earn it. No struggle, no proving, just presence. The energy that's entering now wants you soft, not strong. It wants you honest, not perfect. It wants you whole, even in your brokenness. This card is a divine yes, a yes to joy, a yes to emotional safety, a yes to what you thought had passed you by. And sometimes that yes is enough to start your entire life over from a place of peace. Someone unexpected is bringing healing. Healing doesn't always come from where you expect. Sometimes it walks in quietly through a door you forgot you left open. A stranger, a kind word, a moment of eye contact. These are the soul's secret medicine carriers. And this card whispers that someone, maybe someone you've overlooked, is about to remind you what safe love feels like. It might not be romantic, it might not be dramatic, but it will be real. Real connection is steady. It doesn't rush, it doesn't demand. It simply sits beside your wounds and says, "I'm not leaving." And that's the kind of person you're being aligned with now. You may feel hesitant, suspicious even, especially if your past was filled with people who only loved you halfway. But this time is different. The Ace of Cups promises new energy, which means you don't need to compare it to the old. Let this be what it is: pure, present, kind. It's okay to be surprised. It's okay to be slow. Let healing arrive at its own pace. And when it does, even in the smallest way, you'll feel it. Not in your mind, but in the way your body finally relaxes in someone's presence. Your heart has more room than you thought. Grief teaches us to close, but life keeps asking us to open. And somewhere in that tug of war, the heart forgets its size. But the Ace of Cups doesn't let us stay numb. It reminds you that your heart is far bigger, softer, and more resilient than you ever imagined. You've survived heartbreaks, and still, you feel. You still hope. You still long. That is not weakness. That is spiritual strength in its highest form. Your capacity to love, even after all you've been through, is not just beautiful, it's sacred. This card wants you to know that there's more room inside of you. Room for joy, room for play, room for intimacy that doesn't require shrinking. The world told you to protect your heart. Spirit is now asking you to free it. And maybe that starts by doing one brave thing today. Not for someone else, but for your heart's happiness. That small act, even if no one sees it, is how the heart begins to remember who it is again. You are being given something you've wanted for so long. This card carries the quiet magic of answered prayers. Not always in the way you expected, but in the way your soul truly needed. Something is being offered to you now, not taken, not delayed, offered. But can you hold out your hands and actually receive it? Sometimes, after longing for so long, we build walls to protect ourselves from disappointment. And when the real thing finally comes, we don't recognize it, but your spirit does. Your spirit has been calling this in. This blessing is the echo of a wish you once whispered to the moon. It may come in the form of opportunity, or peace, or forgiveness, or a love that feels like water to your roots. Whatever it is, this isn't random. It's a divine arrival, perfectly timed for the person you've become after everything you've endured. Let yourself feel the fullness of this gift. You asked for this. You're ready now. You wouldn't have found it a year ago because you weren't yet the version of you who could carry it. Let this overflow, even if you're not ready. The Ace of Cups doesn't ask for control. It asks for surrender. Surrender to the beauty, to the flood of emotion, to the love that might feel too big to hold at first. You don't have to be ready. You just have to be willing. This is the moment when you stop rationing your joy. When you stop asking, "Do I deserve this?" and start saying, "Thank you." Overflow means letting the energy move through you, not bottling it, not questioning it, just feeling it fully. You've been taught to be careful with good things, to not celebrate too loud in case they vanish. But this card invites the opposite. Pour it all out. Let the tears fall. Let the laughter stay a little longer. Let your heart beat wildly again. Because sometimes, overflow is the healing. Not fixing. Not explaining. Just allowing yourself to feel how loved, how full, how sacred this moment really is. And now, as the full moon bathes everything in its silver light, take one slow breath. You've just walked through the inner chambers of your soul. What surfaced through the moon, what ended with the 10 of Swords, and what bloomed with the Ace of Cups. None of it is random. You were guided here to remember something, that your pain has been a passage. Your emotions are sacred messages, and your heart, no matter how tired, still holds space for miracles. Let tonight be your soft turning point, not a loud breakthrough, but a quiet inner shift. Let the ritual settle, let the cards echo, let your body exhale the heaviness it's carried. Because this full moon isn't just an ending, it's your rebirth. And you, beautiful soul, are finally coming home to yourself. Just in time, just as you are, just under the light that knows your name.